الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So we are looking at the means of developing the khushu'. And we begun this topic by discussing certain practical steps of how somebody can perform and increase their devotion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We mentioned that the first one was to prepare perfectly for the prayer. And this entailed a person's wudu and the place of prayer and what they wear. We're going to talk about this further when we get to a particular point relating to it. And we mentioned that perfecting the wudu in and of itself is a way to improve your khushu'. Taking your time and completing the entire wudu. And inshallah, as we continue with this discussion, we will go through all of the steps of the wudu and just make sure that all of us here are on the same page in how much you should wipe up the arms and where you should stop. Does it include your elbows or not? How do you perform certain acts and rituals when it comes to the wudu? So we will go through that as well as part of our discussion. Then in addition to that, we also mentioned that ensure that you pray on time and at the beginning of its time, not in the middle or at the end of that particular prayer time, but try to catch that prayer time when it officially begins. We also mentioned to clear your mind. Try to approach Salah with a clear mind. Try to eliminate any distractions and things that might be bothering you in your daily life. In addition to that, remind yourself of Allah Azza wa Jal and His greatness and His attributes. And this is the theme of everything that we've been talking about throughout our discussion, is that you're standing in front of Allah. Salah should remind you of you standing in front of Allah Azza wa Jal on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Some of the ulama, they said that when we will stand on Yawm al-Qiyamah, we will stand shoulder to shoulder. We will stand literally beside each other. There won't be any gaps amongst us. So Salah kind of gives you a brief feel or insight to what that might feel like. In addition to that, and this is where we're at today, in addition to improving our khushu', is that we remember that this prayer could be your last. Remember that this prayer could be your last. The Prophet ﷺ, this is one of the things that he always mentioned in terms of perfecting our prayers. Sallu salatan muwaddi'a. Pray as if this is your last and final prayer. So when you do that, what that should cause you is your full devotion, your full attention, your full and complete focus. And the reality is very simple. For some people, the Maghrib that we just prayed, we don't know if that could be the last Maghrib that we just prayed. The Isha that insha'Allah we want to pray, we don't know if that could be the last Isha of our lives. So all of these things here are constant reminders and realities that we try to remember every single time we stand up for prayer. In addition to that is to remember death and the grave during the prayer itself. Remember death and the grave during the prayer itself. So you also want to make sure that you remember all of this throughout the salawat. You also remember that there will also be a time where others may pray over you as well. So all of these things, subhanAllah, are things that should be constantly being reminded to us. In addition to that, remember the benefits of having true khushu'. Now what's the benefits of being devoted? If a person can master khushu', then they would be devoted in everything they do in their life. So when they go to work, they're going to be focused on their job and their work and everything else that they have to do, those duties. When they go to school, they're going to be mentally focused on school, getting my job done, getting my exams, and studying my work. When they're at home, they're going to be focused on